We are live.
Okay, thanks.
Great. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, Sachin.
Good
Good
afternoon.
afternoon, everyone. My name is Mahantesh. I am Associate Publisher and Director, Community with 9.9 Group. On behalf of CIO and Leader, NTT-Netmagic, and Google Cloud Platform, I welcome you to today's Masterclass on accelerating your journey to the hybrid cloud. Thank you for joining us. We are now in an era where change is ubiquitous. Whether it is economic trends, customer needs, or business opportunities, the methods and techniques that worked successfully in the past are becoming less relevant and useful in today's environment. Technology has become an important driver of business success. However, the reality for the CIO is that enterprises need strategies that will enable the organization to leverage the benefits of new technologies while preserving the value and utility of existing on-premise IT. One answer to this situation is the hybrid cloud architecture. Most CIOs understand that they need hybrid IT for a variety of reasons: flexibility, agility, access to new functionalities, efficiency, cost, and compliance. But the challenge is to make the right decisions: who to partner with, what alternatives to consider, how to contract and manage the deployment, and how to make it a success. To shed more light on these aspects of the journey to a hybrid cloud architecture, we have an array of experienced and knowledgeable speakers today. I urge you to listen to them attentively and benefit from their expertise and experiences. Before I invite the first speaker for today, here are two quick announcements for all delegates. The winners of the quiz will be announced at the end of the session. If you have participated in the quiz that was sent out, do await the list. You could have won a JBL Bluetooth headset. There is a feedback form that will be mailed out to you at the end of this masterclass session. Please do fill it out. Everyone who completes the feedback form will receive a JBL Bluetooth headset as token of appreciation. I would like to now invite Sachin Gupta, President and Chief Information and Innovation Officer at Usha International. In his current role, he is entrusted with defining and implementing strategy, enabling business, digital transformation, and innovation. He is a successful leader with an exceptional track record in integration, consolidation, and bringing operational excellence to various companies. His 32 plus years of work experience entails close interactions with governments in India, Africa, and other foreign countries. During his distinguished career, Sachin has been on company board and has presented to various board of Fortune 500 companies. Today, Sachin will draw on his knowledge and experiences in planning and implementing a hybrid cloud and talk about how to make suitable platform choices, select vendors, and manage the transition. Before I hand it over to Sachin, I would like to request everyone to post your questions for him in the chat box. We will take them up at the end of the session. Welcome, and over to you, Sachin. You're on mute, Sachin.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, a little feeble. If you can come closer to the mic.
Okay. I've got mic as close as possible. Okay.
Okay, great.
Better now?
It's much better. Yeah, please
All
go
right.
ahead.
Let me see if I can increase the mic volume. Hold on one quick second.
Sure.
Speaker. Speech on. Okay. Better now? I'll
Much
try and
better.
hold mic
Yes,
as close
you
to
are loud and
my
clear.
mouth as possible.
Please go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Hello?
Sachin, I can hear
You are
you.
working. You guys there?
Yes. Please go ahead.
Okay, I cannot hear anyone. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you,
Okay,
Sachin.
now I can
Go
hear.
ahead.
Thanks, Mantesh. And sorry, guys, that I was a few minutes late. Let me present. I want this to be an interactive session. I don't think I'm going to probably talk about anything that you might not already know, but we'll try and share as much as from my experience as possible. So let me, if you have any questions, we can take it at the end or we can stop anytime. Here's the present now. Mantesh, let me know when you see my window.
Sure, Sachin.
Window. Okay. Says it's loading, but it was already loaded. Let's try once again. I can't figure out how to share this presentation, and I'm going to talk about hybrid cloud.
Sachin, you can try again.
It's just okay. Let me try. My all I see is rotating.
Okay.
Uh, it's waiting for something, and I don't want to get out because it might drop me. Hold on.
Sachin, if you can stop it and restart again,
I
probably
That's
reshare.
exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Let me see what I can stop. Uh,
Sachin, are you there? Can you hear me? I can see you, Sachin, now. If you can share your screen.
I'm doing it right now. When I stopped sharing, it completely kicked me out.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
let's try again. Let's try entire screen. It's not letting me share. It says share now. When I select the window, I hit share, shares grayed out. Let me try again. Okay, now it is. Hold on. Entire screen, share. Okay, let me know when you guys see it. Sorry for this. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, it's visible.
All right, great. Thank you very much. Finally, great. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for having me here. Mahantesh, Sachin, everybody else, thank you very much. And I apologize for the delay and getting this started. So, here talking about accelerating a digital journey with hybrid cloud. Just to give you a little background, I'm currently working as President, Chief Information and Innovation Officer with Usha. Before that, I was with Havels, predominantly enabling business and digital transformation, enabled digital journey from across the entire value chain, right from vendor when we buy material all the way to consumer. Prior to that, I was with Times Group, spent three odd years there, and prior to that, I was with Microsoft for 7 years. Did my consulting services, used to run consulting services, and then was CIO for India, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka. Prior to that, I spent 17 years in US, working with um, companies such as Toyota, Cardinal Health, Deloitte and Touche, Michael Milken. I actually started my career in hotel management and kind of moved into IT post that. Today, talking about accelerating digital journey with hybrid cloud, my experience in hybrid cloud in cloud started way back when I was in Microsoft, and probably before as a user before that when Hotmail came into existence, which was also a true cloud application. So I thought we'll just go back, revisit history a little bit. Guys, I've got this habit of talking fast. If I'm going too fast, somebody please speak up and tell me to go slow. I will. Uh, so, thought to talk about history of cloud. Nobody understands where the cloud computing came in, when it started, where it started, or where the term originated. Since 2000, cloud computing has come into existence. I still remember 2000, when I was in Toyota, we started talking about having the servers and infrastructure in various data centers. Actually, used built first data center completely hands off, lights off data center. Uh, 2006, 2008, 2006 is when Amazon came into picture. 2008 uh, when let me hide this. 2000 when Azure came in, and that's when was the true time. I remember 2007, 2008 when we started talking about cloud, what it is about, how do we use it, how is it going to change our life. So a lot of those conversations started happening when I was in Microsoft. And 2008, I used to run Microsoft Consulting Services, and started we started talking about creating a consulting practice around Azure and cloud, even though it was still not very clear what we really meant by Azure, what we're trying to achieve, where we're trying to go to cloud. Uh, Hybrid cloud, in true sense, right, is a mixture of public cloud and a private cloud. Now, private cloud, you have to understand, necessarily doesn't mean it's in the cloud. The private cloud could be um, compute and storage that you have in somebody else's data center, which could be for example NTT or SIFI or anybody else for that matter, or within your infrastructure yourself. So when you have both the clouds working in tandem, that's when unnecessarily hybrid cloud takes shape. When we started off, we necessarily talked about public cloud, and then came private cloud. Then we started talking about hybrid cloud, about how to manage applications, which could be on-prem or in private cloud with certain parts in private cloud, or vice versa thereof. So that's true hybrid cloud. I don't see or imagine anybody in today's scenario, considering cloud started 12 years ago, that does not have hybrid cloud in one way, shape, or form. Um, if you're using, for example, basic services like uh, Office 365 or 365 or Exchange in the cloud or something or anything for that matter, or you have your web servers in the cloud and you have uh, private cloud on-prem, you truly have hybrid cloud that you could have tools manage it or otherwise. I thought it would be very appropriate to talk about some of the myths that there is that exists. Some of the myths are the cloud is cheaper and saves a lot of money. Um, a lot of people would say it is not a myth, but it's a reality. It obviously is a reality, but it all depends on the time frame. If you're looking at short term, cloud is absolutely cheaper. If you're looking at long term and you look at TCO over 4 years, 5 years, then that statement might be a myth. A lot of people say once I move to cloud, I am done. Uh, it is, I don't think that's the case. I think once you move to the cloud, the journey only starts or begins when you move to cloud rather than thinking you're done. Uh, Cloud's more secured? Depends. Depends on what kind of cloud, what are you running there, where's your data. Obviously, a lot of management tasks can be outsourced, especially if you're working in platform as a service. If you're working as infrastructure as a service, you still have to remember that security and securing the cloud is still your responsibility. Treat that as your own and you're managing it. Cloud for everything. I've heard this in a lot of conversations. I've been part of a lot of discussions where people say, let's just completely go into cloud. Is it possible? I know few CIOs who've done it, uh, but majority of people that you will see today, majority of CIOs that you will see today will have certain amount of workloads in the cloud with certain amount of workloads still on-prem. It also depends on the industry and privacy and the government policy around the data, around where your data can reside. If you if the data can reside anywhere and there's no restrictions of data being in India, then this is a possibility. Otherwise, not. Today, when we have major players with their data centers in India, it is a possibility. I remember we used to have a conversation when I was a CIO at Microsoft with Steve Jobs, sorry, with Steve Ballmer, not Steve Jobs, but Steve Ballmer, where we used to tell him or ask him to put data center in India, and we used to have a lot of problems with Link at that time, and his response was, "We're not going to have data center in India ever." That obviously has changed now. I believe Microsoft has. Uh, Last time I checked, they had data centers in 3 cities in India. Don't know what the situation is, but Azure is very much present now in India, and your data can stay in India. When you create an infrastructure, especially in private cloud, you can decide where your data is going to reside. You can do that as well in public cloud. So if you use something like Dynamics 365 or Office 365, you could say my instance needs to run in India and they can provision that in India, even if it is a public cloud. So that has changed. So cloud, you can have your control over where the data resides. One of the biggest things I've heard is outsource cloud management to a partner and you're done. Uh, Partly true, partly not. You can have a partner manage your infrastructure in the cloud, but you truly want tools and technologies that will that will help you manage your hybrid infrastructure very seamlessly. In today's world, it should not matter whether you have infrastructure in the cloud or on-prem. They both can very work in tandem, and you should be able to move workloads from one to another. And that's the true benefit of having a hybrid cloud, or having infrastructure in a hybrid environment. What So what do you do? How do you get started uh, in this environment? What do you decide what to have in hybrid cloud or cloud, and what do you have on-prem? I always say evaluate the vendors that are out there or partners, right? You have you have uh, big boys like Microsoft, uh, Google. You have obviously Amazons of the world, where or AWS, but you also have a lot of small vendors who are willing to offer um, infrastructure as a service, and especially if you're only looking for infrastructure or storage space rather than going on a platform or a solution, right? You can very easily evaluate that and figure out who might be the best option, and price wise. And you'll be surprised that in a lot of cases, people like NTT or SIPI and others will be able to offer you infrastructure at a cheaper price than big boys. Uh, if you haven't started and you're starting on this journey, I would say start small. Pick an application that might be consumer facing, such as a web server, hosting of websites, DNS services, mobile apps, anything. So what I've always done is I have started with my consumer face apps if we're not in the cloud. Uh, it makes it easy because you don't have to worry about puncturing holes in your firewall, exposing uh, your core applications outside, or creating a DMZ, and so on and so forth. Obviously, you could start with a non-critical app. Non-critical app could be your websites. It could also be something that is used by your consumers, so that there's the consumers get in, get out. Always start with something that does not have to integrate as closely with your in-house applications or ERP, such as SAP, because that would just create further complexities in the environment. Uh, I would Those would be my points. Now, let me let me say what are the things that I have done personally, and how I have approached this when I have started looking at applications. And Sachin said he wanted me to focus more on that than anything else. So let me spend 5-7 minutes on how I've approached this. I am I'm going to stop the presentation and and do go face to face with you guys. Uh, can you? Is the presentation stopped? Can you see me?
Yes, it stopped. We can see.
Yeah. Can I ask people to turn on their videos if possible? I can't be just showing my ugly face. This is not fair.
No, I think a couple of people have bandwidth issues, so not
All
everybody
right.
has turned
All
on.
right. So
So
let's
please go
let's
ahead.
talk about that. So Guys, the way I have used my first cloud application that I used when I started this journey was in 2012. That's when I truly used first cloud application. Till then, I always used to say, so that was me using it for corporations. Never ever before that used it for my employers. I always used to preach that you should use cloud, being in Microsoft, and I was there. Actually, that won't be correct. I used it in 2010 when I became part of Microsoft IT as a CIO. So, but wasn't much at that time. So, Times Group was the first time I took ownership of it and created it and used it. And I was involved a lot at that time with Times Group, with with Times Internet as well. So when we started that, the benefits, and I there's a slide that's missing for some reason in this. Uh, Sorry that it is. Uh, but uh, but what I wanted to say is the where is it beneficial to use the cloud? Now, the way I have used it and I use it today, other than just just application. So we use in Havels. I used cloud applications for within Azure for Dynamics 365. We had Office 365 running in the cloud. Uh, we had various other applications. Now we also substantially used infrastructure as a service. Let me give you an examples of how we used it and where could it benefit. When you in olden times, and when I say that, I mean 6, 7, 8 years ago, you had two choices. Either you created spare capacity of servers and infrastructure so that when new projects came in, you could use those servers infrastructure to build applications and get going. Or you waited for 8 weeks, 9 weeks, 10 weeks for to build infrastructure to start building an application, right? Now, I am sure you all have been there. What cloud has done is reduce that time frame of 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 10 weeks to and depending and waiting for budget to get approved into minutes. So today, when we build an application, we start with cloud first. So you go spin off an infrastructure in the cloud. Within minutes, it is ready, and then you start your deployment. Now, while it is getting developed, you can do testing there. You can let it run in the cloud, uh, and while once it's done, once it's ready, once the application is is stable, that's when you decide whether you want to leave it in the cloud if it's consumer facing, or pull it back inside your data center, right? If it has a lot of integrations. My rule of thumb is one, uh, if it doesn't have to integrate with your ERP or other applications that are in the data center with firewalls and lock and keys, leave it in the cloud. That's what I do. If it works very closely with SAP or other ERP or other systems that are in the data center, then bring it back on-prem as soon as it becomes stable. The biggest benefit that I have seen lies for cloud, hybrid or public or otherwise or private, is two. One, you can start with the smallest of the servers, and because of elasticity, it can grow and shrink as it's needed in production environment. I have stopped building development and QA environment in-house or on-prem. We leave all of our development in QA environments in the cloud. And the best part about that is you only pay for the usage. You don't pay for uh, otherwise. So spin it up, shut it down if you don't need it, spin it up again as you need it, use it. So when we do development, we do the development during the day and shut the servers in the evening, right? Or completely tone it down. So those are the benefits of having infrastructure in the cloud, that it makes it very, very, very scalable. Now you've got organizations that can reduce that even further and take up infrastructure that is not committed or used by Microsoft or by AWS at literally 30% of the price. So a lot of organizations out there that you can use. The only problem with there is they can take the servers back up again, but they have tools to re-provision the same instance somewhere else. And there's usually about uh, 15 minutes, 30 minutes of downtime, but you have your development environment or QA environment, you can easily afford that. So what it has done, what cloud has done is it has given you options. You can use software as a service. You can take something for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, test it out and see how you like it. If you don't, you could just let it go. If you do, you can then go back and have a conversation with vendors about procuring your own license. I'll give you another example, and I don't know how many of you have used it or tried it. You can actually bring your own license in the cloud. So let's say if you've got a SQL Enterprise license that is with you, you could spin off infrastructure and use your own license to provision SQL Server in the cloud. You don't necessarily have to take that license from AWS or Microsoft or even Google. You can bring your own license and use it. So all of a sudden, there is so much possibilities that a cloud has provided us, and it is growing by the minute, by the hour, by the day, and it gives you a lot of options. You can use platform as a service where a lot of services are already pre-positioned, utilized, and there to get kicked off and start quickly provisioning and working. Now, when you're talking about specifically hybrid as a cloud, it used to be a lot of challenge to have to spin off something in the in public cloud, let's say a private cloud, and then try to use resources on-prem in your private cloud and merge them together and get manageability. Now, service providers or your partners have those tools, have those capabilities where you don't have to worry about, um, excuse me, it's in the cloud. Can I move it on-prem? Or it is on-prem. Can I take it in the cloud? It can happen literally with the click of a button. There are tools available today where you are able to, on a single screen in a single pane, see performance on both your environment, and can be seen as literally uh, one infrastructure, and you don't have to worry about it. You could monitor those two infrastructures seamlessly, uh, put your own rules. Uh, so what I'm trying to say is, over past 5 to 6 years, hybrid technologies or hybrid management technologies have grown to such an extent that today it is it is very seamless to move things around. Obviously, you do have to have appropriate bandwidth in place to be able to support that kind of movement of the data if you're going to do that. But bandwidth is getting cheaper on a yearly basis. Uh, I used to say at one point, and I will go back to 5 years, 6 years, the the cloud and running application in the cloud are extremely dependent on the stability of our telco providers, of our circuits. But that has now improved leaps and bounds to an extent uh, where currently today we have our FAR DR of SAP running on AWS. So we spend literally uh, a fraction of what we would have spent to keep the infrastructure in house. So we literally have very little compute on standby, and we have all of the data which gets replicated between on-prem and in cloud, so that in case there's an outage in-house, within 45 minutes, we can get the infrastructure in the cloud up and running with literally uh, 2 minutes of data loss and at a maximum level. So that's where the benefit of cloud is. So normally you would buy an identical hardware and it would just sit there without getting used. It would use up energy in the data center, electricity in the data center, cooling in the data center. To have that infrastructure up and running, we need people to manage it without any reason. Now we do DR drill once a year. We spin it off. We do the drill. We shut it down. That's how simple it is. So the possibilities today are enormous in terms of what are the feasibilities, what are the tools available, how you can look at your infrastructure in an hybrid way rather than just looking at cloud, private or public. So there's a lot of benefit in doing that. Uh, we've, I've done that now practically for. So I used to say my SAP is going to
Sachin,
run
we are getting a lot
in
of
the cloud.
questions. Can I request you to keep some part of your learnings for the Q&A session?
All right. So let me then
Yeah.
close it. Thanks for the cue. Uh, so bottom line, I used to be afraid of taking applications to the cloud, such as ERP. Today, you have no reason to be. But what I will say is pick the right partner in terms of people who are able to provide services, and then you need a partner who's going to help you manage it, right? So with that, let me open up for questions. I hope I was able to give you some perspective on hybrid cloud and where it is today.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Sachin. I think it was wonderful and very precise. I think we could not have had it better.
Thank you,
Man.
Sachin. You're always too nice.
Thank you for the very interesting talk, Sachin, and for the strategic insights. I am sure all the participants in this session will find your advice very useful. May I remind everyone to kindly post the queries for Sachin in the chat box. We will take them up after all the speakers have completed their talks. Thank you, Sachin, again.
Sure.
Uh,
Thank you.
It's my pleasure to now introduce Roman Irani, who is a partner engineer at Google Cloud. Roman's role involves supporting and enabling partners on the portfolio of solutions available through the Google Cloud platform. Roman is a technical expert and he has more than 25 years of experience in software development and solutioning. Today, he'll be speaking about the Google Cloud platform and how you can use the various solutions to implement a successful hybrid cloud strategy for your organizations. Over to you, Roman.
Thank you, Mantesh. Please let me know if my slide is visible.
It's visible, Roman. Please go ahead.
Thank you. All right. Thanks, everyone. So I'm Raman Irani. I work as a partner engineer at Google Cloud. And my session today will focus on talking about the different infrastructure as well as app modernization options that are available on Google Cloud, particularly from a hybrid perspective too. So first up, I'd like to just stress upon the fact that what are some of the key things that makes Google Cloud different. And at a high level, of course, first comes up security. That comes before anything else that we do. There's a multi-layer defense security, right from the custom hardware chips that we have to pretty much all the other layers as you move up the stack. The focus of this session has been about hybrid and multi-cloud, and that's where we give choice to the user. We do not want them to get locked into any particular offering. So particularly, we have our hybrid story. I'll come to that, where you can pretty much use open source technologies on foundations on which we have built our solution called Anthos that lets you run clusters, which could be either on-prem, could be in our cloud, could be in other clouds also, thereby giving you the flexibility as well as the option to always move your workloads and run them where you want that. The third thing, which is fully managed no ops. This is all about ensuring that the ease or the experience that the users get while using our cloud is simplistic. We want them to do less of infrastructure, less of the management overhead, and particularly get started with using their services as quickly as possible. So that's where the whole no ops or the serverless nature comes in. A variety of our services, or increasingly most of our services now, are of a serverless nature, where it's all about provisioning what you want, getting your data, starting to use it, whereas all the management overhead as well as anything else that comes associated with it, whether it's security, whether it's scaling as you grow, is left to us as a cloud provider. AI and ML is pretty much there in all that we do. So you have seen that in some of the consumer apps that we are running today, and you see that some of those things are being brought onto the cloud platform too for you to use it. And finally, from a Google perspective, most of the tools and frameworks, these are things that we have sort of home built in order to address the kind of scale that our applications have, and which you have been using from a consumer perspective for many years. So all of those tools, frameworks, as they become more and more sort of used internally, we believe it's ready for exposing to the outside world. We bring that out to you, and you can then innovate on top of it. The slide which you see over here is all about the entire private network that we have built for the cloud, and this is the same global scale infrastructure that powers our consumer apps also today. So if you deploy your apps on Google Cloud Platform, you can take this advantage of the same infra that you see out there. Again, like any other cloud provider, our services are present in multiple regions of the world that you can see, or data centers if you'd like to call that. This also takes care of some of the data locality as well as compliance requirements that could be there. Apart from the secure aspect of the cloud, we also understand that consumers are trusting cloud providers and us with most of their confidential data. So to give them the confidence, we've got various controls in place, ranging from access transparency controls to audit logs to IAM controls, plus redaction of data, which you see over here, where you can actually define who sees what data, but also redaction should you want to even ensure that data is masked or not even visible to users who are not sort of authorized or need to see it. The slide here that I'm talking about is the fact that typically organizations might think of taking their first steps by taking their existing applications which they've got on-premise in a lift and shift fashion, moving on to the cloud. But we believe that while they give you the options for lift and shift via like VM shape, so whatever be the combination of vCPU and RAM combinations which you want, while that gets you onto the cloud, we believe that it doesn't end there, right? So what we end up doing is we provide you custom machine types. What custom machine types actually mean is that, for example, we do not lock you to any particular machine type sizes or standard t-shirt sizes which are out there. You can precisely select the vCPU and RAM combinations which you want, thereby saving you not just in cost, but pretty much you just pay for what you're using, configuring, so on and so forth. There are also long-term discounts that we could give via 1 year as well as 3-year committed use discounts. No upfront payments, it's a straight away discount that's provided to you. And also there is no sort of magic you need to do to get sustained use discounts. So it's the more you use our resources, automatic discounts are passed on to you in your bill. The preemptible VMs which you see over here are very useful for big data workloads, especially if you've got a big data kind of a cluster running, and if you're okay with certain VMs going down for a few seconds, we give you a straight 70% of the list price. And of course, the ongoing right sizing, what we do over here is that we take a look at how you're utilizing CPU, how you're utilizing RAM, and if we believe that it is underutilized, we present to you a right sizing recommendation. So we can actually tell you which sort of VM types you could further downsize to, where thereby not just ensuring that you'll still get the same performance, but also reduction in cost. So what you see over here is there's a constant effort being made so that you get the full flexibility in terms of what sort of configurations you would want, as well as active recommendations from our side. Now, coming to sort of hybrid environments, we understand that most organizations, eventually are looking not just as one big bang approach to say, let's go on straight to the cloud, where there could be a few exceptions to that. Most have come to the conclusion that we will take our time to go to the cloud. We will identify which applications are a good fit for the cloud. We may also have our own baggage of legacy applications which may not get modernized, where you do not want to spend too much investment into. Some applications may not be able to move to the cloud due to compliance, security reasons. So various reasons are there due to which it will require that an organization look at sort of a hybrid approach to move to the cloud. But while doing that, right, keep in mind that the whole thing about the hybrid approach is that you still have to manage your legacy applications, which could be there on premise. These applications, thereby, as the picture here indicates, can still limit the speed at which you may want to innovate, the speed at which you may want to do your releases. Also, it brings in various other overheads from a quality of service, security policies to be applied in a consistent way, so on and so forth. So really, the industry has been looking forward that is there a common way by which you can build, distribute, and release your applications in a consistent and, more importantly, portable manner, right? So containers has been an approach to that. And towards that, there have been several, I would say, wins in terms of where the industry is going, where containers present a sort of a common denominator to develop your software in a consistent, portable fashion. As well as, as you go along, we've realized that you require a way by which you give the freedom to the organization to run these workloads, develop these workloads in the same fashion, not just on premise, but even in the cloud, or even if they want to do it on other clusters running elsewhere. So given all of this, right, we've come up with our solution called Anthos, which presents a great way by which you can run hybrid workloads, or these clusters in other ways, by which you can run them on-premise, you can run them in our cloud, and even other clouds. And pretty much what we've seen is that when organizations are taking an approach of this manner, it is definitely giving them some good sort of, I would say, returns via not just the speed at which they could develop things, but even from a security perspective, even from an operations efficiency perspective, so on and so forth. So pretty much when it comes to modern application development or having a hybrid environment that spans across environments, across physical boundaries, clusters where you could be running it, we found that from our solution perspective and thoughts, right? Here again, we are giving, it's open, there's no lock-in, it's based on open source technologies like Docker, Kubernetes, Istio, and so on. And the whole idea is that you should be given a central control or central control plane from where you can manage these clusters, push policies in a consistent manner, create services where you would want to do them, so on and so forth, at the same time getting common telemetry and operations across it. So that's pretty much what you see in the screen over here, where you standardize on containers, you sort of run these clusters in premise, on Google Cloud, even other clouds, AWS and Azure, we don't distinguish between that. Then there is a central plane from where you can actually do your app management, policies, end-to-end observability, the whole operations part of it, so on and so forth. So what this helps you do is you retain your investments also currently in your on-premise infrastructure. You standardize on a way that you develop, deploy, and release your software. You standardize on a way by which you apply security policies, your operations management, so on and so forth. So that's the true hybrid thing. Again, it's built on software abstractions. We do not lock you onto a provider. We do not lock you onto any sort of proprietary technology or even hardware for that matter. Top enterprises, there's been some good adoption across Google Cloud, as you can see over here. And particularly, I wanted to highlight the financial services segment. These companies here have some of the highest or stringent standards when it comes to sort of moving to the cloud, trusting us with their data for certain data workloads. And the fact that you some of the largest financial players over here also is good testament to our cloud. That's what I had today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Roman, for providing a comprehensive overview of the Google Cloud platform. I'm sure many delegates will be interested in the wide portfolio of features and functionality that is on offer. May I request everyone to post questions for Roman in the chat box. To provide more information on the GCP portfolio, applications and services, we have Mr. Girish Sharma, Product Line Head, Cloud Services, NTT-Netmagic. Girish has more than 10 years of work experience, and he has been with NTT-Netmagic since 2010. His areas of expertise are cloud computing and infrastructure solutions. Over the years, he has worked with a number of prestigious clients to implement various cloud solutions. In his presentation today, Girish will cover what are CIOs looking for in hybrid cloud solutions, strategies to deploy and optimize hybrid environments, cloud services from NTT-Netmagic. Over to you, Girish.
Thank you, Mantesh. I hope I'm audible and my screen is visible.
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, I thought I'll just quickly save some time on that. So thank you, everyone. And, I'm privileged to be here on panel with Mr. Sachin and Mr. Roman. Hybrid IT, the way forward. We are actually going to discuss a lot about hybrid IT today. You heard from the panelists, and hybrid IT interchangeably is being used in the industry with multi-cloud or even multiple silos of IT infrastructure being used in an intelligent way. All I can brief you quickly is that we all should be talking about hybrid IT, and this is the right time. Reason being, a recent survey said that 63% of CIOs are already leveraging hybrid IT, and even of the remaining 37%, 50% already have a plan in place to move to hybrid IT strategy. So that takes me to around 81%, and that's what tells us that we should be in hybrid IT. And why they are demanding, maybe there are many benefits. You heard from the very first session what you can look at in terms of benefit, right? That's an intelligent decision. You might actually leverage on cost benefits or the elasticity or the scalability of the cloud, right? Or you want to see that faster time to market, right? So there are many benefits which hybrid IT brings on the ground. Today, while that has been covered, you heard about how hybrid IT can be deployed. You also heard that beautiful hyperscale solutions like Google Cloud comes packed with the capabilities out there. We at NTT-Netmagic have been helping enterprises move to hybrid IT and actually overcome the challenges, because not everything comes simple. There are many challenges. How will you overcome the security? How will you overcome the connectivity issues? Is it a solution it's a final answer? You heard about cloud can do everything. So all those things are not really doable on ground. So what we do is we help our customers overcome challenges and have a smooth transition to hybrid IT and a smooth runtime experience around hybrid IT. When I look at hybrid IT, all I want to tell you, I concur with the very first speaker who told you that cloud is not the solution to everything. You have to actually do the lot of due diligence around it. We at Netmagic, we support a more holistic hybrid IT for our customers. Customer might be having few bare metal workloads to a container environment for DevOps, right? So what we do is we help customers mix up all these silos in an intelligent way together, where the decision is driven by the workload. What is ideal for bare metal? What is ideal for a private cloud? I've been private cloud hosted on data centers because that is the right standard practice all Indian enterprises have been following, and I see great benefits in that. So a private cloud in a data center which is owned by you, or a public cloud like, say, for example, Google, or even a container as a service. So we provide all these infrastructure silos together to our customers, packaged with many other services to give rise to right shape of hybrid IT. Those services include migration services. Those services include managed services to run both the environments even together or as two different silos. Managed security services, that has become another important aspect. When you're consuming your workloads from the internet, you have to ensure that you're not compromising on your security policies. How do you ensure the right highly available and high speed connectivity, right? So what we do is, as part of our hybrid IT approach, we really package it with a lot of services so that you can mix and match a bare metal to a container kind of workload all together in a hybrid IT environment. What I see that while deploying hybrid IT, the approach can be very simple, although I have tried to put it in words here. It starts by consulting and identifying the workloads. You have to design the new hybrid IT strategy for yourself, and then you have to move from what you have been doing to a hybrid IT approach. You have to build the new infrastructure where you are having as a target or your goal. But what we did is, not only you have to just move to one type of IT infrastructure, you should also be able to run it, and also during the runtime further optimize it, because at times your projections might not meet the performance requirement, or it might be over provisioned at times. So how do you optimize? So that's what our approach has been. I want to now give some use cases, that it is not only about approach, it is also about how we have been able to bring it on ground. One of the, as I showed you in my multi-cloud stack, that we are a partner as well to a very capable cloud platform like Google. When we speak about Google, all the cloud platform capabilities offered by Google, we offer them as managed services to our customers. It might be as simple as a compute service from Google, or a network service, or the storage tiers that Google is providing, till a security service which is inherent there in Google, right? We manage all these services so that even if they are new to an IT organization, they can happily consume these capabilities off the shelf from a Google Cloud platform. Of course, we are privileged to be the first managed service provider for Google, and we really see that how, as part of hybrid IT, our customers can leverage that. I want to give you a very recent example. We heard about time to market recently. A very classical example, when COVID-19 did strike, many organizations did not have a VDI, right? If I go with how we were doing VDI earlier, we will plan for the VDI, we'll order the infrastructure, we'll order the licenses, we'll go live. But with Ethiopia and Google Cloud Solution, we could immediately onboard customers, and very short of span of time, they were on VDI on Google Cloud. So you can see that if you're really embracing hybrid IT, your time to market might be pretty fast. And we have realized it on ground and deployed it for customers. And everything is managed as a service for customer, further giving him a peace of mind that not only you're moving, you can run it, you can optimize it with a partner like NTT-Netmagic. As since I'm presenting it, I would like to take my name. Another beautiful example of hybrid IT which I tell people is about SAP, right? With the SAP HANA, they started with SAP HANA TDI infrastructure, they started with SAP appliances, they started with SAP HANA Cloud. What we did at Netmagic is, we have an integrated IT infrastructure where you can leverage SAP HANA Cloud from Netmagic, you can leverage SAP HANA TDI, you can leverage SAP HANA Appliance, all of them connected together. You can start small in cloud and you can scale out to a HANA TDI or HANA Appliance, right? Or you can even mix and match. Your HANA application layer might be in HANA Cloud, your development and QA database can be on HANA TDI, and your production database can be on HANA Appliance. Not only this, with hybrid IT, we got one more beautiful approach. We can take your SAP HANA landscape to a SAP services on Google Cloud, and further we can connect it to SuccessFactors. So you can see that for a use case like SAP, while we are giving one hybrid IT in our premises, we can connect it to Google Cloud workloads. Even your dev and QA environments you can consume on a monthly basis, and further by optimize your cost. And further, you have an integration to SAP success factors. A very beautiful use case, how hybrid IT is being leveraged. Another beautiful use case is, like simply ODB, the Oracle database licensing has been, on the minds of a lot of CIOs because it's a pretty expensive component out there. At the same time, very important part of their overall strategy. How do you leverage the performance of a bare metal and the performance of Google Cloud for your application layer? So you can very much do that. You can use a bare metal at NetMagic premises. You can use the Google Interconnect and in turn connect to your application layer in Google, giving rise to an end-to-end service, which we call a simply ODB and Google combination. A true example of hybrid IT. How do you leverage your bare metal along with the public cloud capability like Google? With the help of Google Interconnect, you get a very high speed. It is very highly available. You get our committed SLAs. So what I want to indicate to you is that hybrid IT is no more only on paper, or it is some thought that we are pushing on. It is something that we are doing on ground with players like Google and NetMagic, and we are giving all the managed services and security services along with committed SLAs there, right? So giving rise to hybrid IT in this example, which I said, it might be connectivity will be required. You will need GCP services subscription. You will need managed services from players like us. Even you will need security services to wrap it around. And all these services we are delivering on ground. So that's what my pointer would be, that hybrid IT is there on the ground. Not only it is on the ground and we can run, the most important thing is once we are running, can we optimize it further? Can we give you that benefit of agility? Can we give you the review benefits and you can further optimize? We provide services like Simply Insight. You can, while during the runtime, you can further optimize, right? And we give you that wherever you are underutilized, you can actually cut down your resources. You can reduce your cost by up to 25%, which you have actionable recommendation, right? So, that's where I see that we are moving with a vision to bring hybrid IT on ground and make it more and more approachable in a secured way. Yes, security has been on the compliance list of all the CIOs out there, right? And you need to ensure that you are not compromising on security, even if you're moving to a hybrid IT cloud. That's where, people like us, we started a 24/7 dedicated security operations center, right from a basic antivirus to malware till a DDoS protection, cloud-based or appliance-based. End-to-end services are there with us while catering the hybrid IT services. Even the business continuity or disaster recovery services, you have to plan it in your hybrid IT strategy. It might be as simple as that your primary is on NetMagic Cloud and you want to do a DR on Google Cloud, or vice versa. You want to have a DR on Google Cloud and you want to do disaster, primary, DR on NetMagic Cloud. You can do that using the hybrid interconnect. You can even leverage the replication between the two, and you can easily manage this both of them together from a single managed service by NetMagic. So that's an example. How do you replicate from your on-premises to Google, from NetMagic to Google, or like that? So my overall idea would be, it's an intelligent decision that you are ensuring that which workloads can move to which place in a very right way, ensuring the compliance and certifications. And when we talk about hybrid IT, we ensure all the certifications are consistently covering even our hybrid IT landscapes, and they're covered by our processes and the compliance, right? Why we are coming from here is because while bringing it on ground, what we see is what we have learned so far and how we are leveraging it as a practice to deliver further. So that's where I put in that we have been able to help many organizations over there. As on date, I count 2,300 plus large enterprises. We are helping manage their entire IT infrastructure, and that's where we feel proud that we are really able to bring them to the hybrid IT, which is need of the hour. So I think in a nutshell, I have been very brisk and lean. Looking at the time constraint, I have covered from my side. Thank you for being with me. We can take a rest in the question and answer sessions. Over to you, Mahantesh. Thank you.
Thank you, Girish. Now we can take a couple of questions. Let me start with the first question. How can we be assured regarding data security and integrity in the hybrid cloud? I think, Girish, you talked about security in your use case. Can you elaborate a bit on that?
Correct, definitely. So, I think one of the key things which I always start with people is while we talk about hybrid IT, you should not see that for hybrid IT you need any special security constraints, because now see connectivity, even a normal ACP setup at my place is accessed by a lot of end users over a VPN. It is a very simple way of connecting, and in the same way you will be connecting to your hybrid IT setup. So all I can say is there is nothing new that we are doing at the security front, but only thing is we are ensuring, for example, that during this COVID-19 situation, we saw that we have also ourselves deployed zero trust solution, right? A very simple approach. When you are opening yourself to multiple access, you deploy such security solutions, and you ensure that you have only secured connectivity. Might be your users are using the VPNs, or you are having site to site VPN from your corporate place to your setup in data center, right? So very simple example, nothing new when it comes to hybrid IT. But yes, of course, when we look at CT security, you can pick and choose which level of security services subscription you can go for.
Yeah,
I think Roman to add
let me
anything.
also add to what Girish mentioned. So as Girish highlighted clearly, it's important that you look at the applications you're going to run, the data that's required, who will be accessing. So have a good sense of that, and then you will find that the providers as well as our partners can help you to ensure that the right controls are in place. The cloud providers give you the tools to monitor, to see the audit trails, access transparency logs, plus all the controls are in place to ensure that only the right set of users can use it. So yes, it's a shared responsibility, but at the same time, be assured that your data will only be visible as much as you can control. The cloud provider gives you all of those knobs and settings in place. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Girish and Roman. There is a related question. How is the hybrid cloud secure compared to private cloud?
Sorry, Mantesh, was this question for me? And I did not hear the question. If you can repeat.
Yeah. So basically, the question is, how secure is hybrid cloud compared to private cloud?
Okay, how secure is hybrid cloud as compared to a private cloud?
Yes.
I'm sorry, some echo sound. Is it better now? Okay, yeah. Of course, you have to respect the IT infrastructure when you are using it from multiple places. As Roman rightly pointed out, there are ways to make it possible, because you are expanding your reach to a broader network. And that's why you should be careful how your applications are accessed, because at the infrastructure layer we will be ensuring that it is a secured connectivity, how your applications users are accessing it. At that layer you have to maintain the lot of security standards. In terms of comparison with the private cloud, we feel that a private cloud is industry has been pointing that a private cloud is more secure, just because you are not exposing it, even for example, say for a east-west traffic, you are not exposing it outside. While in case of a hybrid cloud, we have a secured hybrid connect from Google to connect to between application layer and what we have here on premises. So that might be the difference. But one of the key things that I want to highlight, in the change scenario, earlier we assumed private cloud is secured because data is not leaving it. Now we are saying that you have a commitment from NetMagic, which is a managed service partner, and from Google in return, that how they are ensuring the security of that connectivity. So that really gives you a right way to further explore hybrid with a freedom from the security concerns that we had earlier.
Thank you, Girish. We move on to the next question. Delegate says, presently we are using the control as cloud, having 15 VM. All the plant connect through MPLS VPN. How to support Google to save cost, suppose with Google Cloud? Suppose if they go with Google Cloud, that's what he meant.
Yeah, so let me take up that question. So see, first up, I wouldn't want to just say that, we should be looking at straight away saying that, yes, the cloud will be cheaper for you, etc. But I would suggest that one is to better understand what kind of workloads you're running, where you're running them now. So assuming you said there are like about 15 or 15 plus whatever VMs, you might have to look at their configurations. You might have to look at the way you're utilizing them, so on and so forth. Also, the cost is usually also considered more, not just from a point of the infrastructure cost, but maybe like a total cost of ownership at times as to what it's taking you to sort of manage it, run it, patch it, keep it healthy, so on and so forth, right? So from a cloud angle, obviously, Google Cloud can give you not just like for like, but as I earlier had mentioned, maybe you could look at the right sizing to ensure that you use custom VMs or exactly get the vCPU and RAM as you require versus being locked into certain kind of configurations. On an ongoing basis, we take away a lot of the operational overheads that may be responsible for running, patching, just keeping them running, so on and so forth. So obviously, you need to take into consideration all of these points and then see, where it's coming to a cost. Obviously, there are many other factors like how you're using these machines, how long you want to keep them running, what could be the pay per use on demand versus long-term commitment prices also could be there. So various levers are there of that nature. We can always have a discussion to see what you're currently running, what your current costs are, and what the options are on GCP. Yeah.
Thank you, Roman, for explaining in detail. There is a related question. What is per user bandwidth required for VM to run on cloud accessed via internet? Apps on the VM will be SAP, Outlook, Office 365, and couple of web links.
I think should I take up that in terms of SAP connectivity? Yeah, okay. So typically I have seen that it depends on the overall total number of users. In most of the cases, even people with multiple locations, they prefer a site-to-site VPN because they are having, like for example, manufacturing sector, they have people sitting out of one offices. To give you even the figures from a thumb rule perspective, it might be we have seen that for up to 100 IP licenses, users who are simultaneously connecting either from office locations or from from users outside roaming on the field. 5 Mbps is more than sufficient.
Okay.
On this, yeah.
Thank you, Girish. There is another question. Can we access applications hosted out of Google Cloud in India seamlessly in China?
Yeah, so I think the question here is about the internet access. I believe at this point in time, while I can't give a definitive answer, there are restrictions on some of our services to operate and be accessible from China. So there are local providers or local solutions that we can work with, but not all services would be easily accessible due to certain restrictions that are there in the country.
Okay. Thank you, Roman. That's all the questions we had for the evening today. With that, we have come to the end of today's session. I would like to thank all our speakers for taking the time to be here and for sharing their thoughts and views on subject of accelerating the journey to hybrid cloud. But before we conclude this session, let's have the winners of the quiz. Vivek, can we have the list, please? There you have winners of the quiz for the evening today. Congratulations to all the winners. Your JBL Bluetooth headset will be sent to you shortly. I will also like to remind everyone that you have another opportunity to receive a JBL Bluetooth headset. Please fill out and return the feedback form that will be emailed to you. On behalf of CIO and Leader, NTT-Netmagic, and Google Cloud Platform, my thanks to all delegates for their interest in the session and their active participation. We look forward to being in touch and hosting you at another session soon. Goodbye and thank you.